How you doing?
I'm doing well. How you doing, man?
Welcome to another week of Gents Making Sense.
Sir.
As usual, we need everybody to like and subscribe to Gents Making Sense, our YouTube channel. We've had some good material out there the last 3 or 4 weeks. We've had good material out there all the time, but it seems to be hitting the spot the last couple of weeks and stuff. We're talking about things that mean a lot to our community, and we're gonna keep it like that. And this week is no different. Subject this week is Project 2025, Voting and the Black Economy, why 2026 is the breaking point. Family, welcome to our Gents Making Sense. Today we're stripping it down to the bones. No fluff, no noise, just the truth with Project 2025, Voting and the Economy, and why 2026 is our breaking point.
Because when you talk about power in this country, you're really talking about two things: who gets to vote and who gets to eat. And Project 25 is both.
So yeah, Project 2025 touches both. And remember, it didn't exist before the president, before the election, according to the president. So today we're breaking it down how this policy blueprint could reshape voting rights and the economy, life especially for Black men and Black people in general, and why 2026 is the moment where we either project our power or watch it shrink.
All right, let's get into our first segment. What Project 25 is and why it matters for voting. Let's start with the basics. Project 25 is a policy roadmap created by conservative think tanks. It lays out how they believe the federal government should be reorganized. Yeah.
Yeah, we went through that with Doge. So that's
Yeah.
the first part. That's the first part of Project 2025. We're not going to spend a lot of time on it, but just know the reorganization of the government was the start of everything that's happening right now. So, and here's the key. A lot of the projects that keep voting fair, especially for Black communities, come from federal oversight. Agencies like the Department of Justice Civil Rights Division.
Yeah, and Project 25 proposes restructuring or reducing the authority of some of these agencies. And when federal oversight weakens, states get more freedom to change voting rules. And this is an example. We've seen this throughout the history of this country. I mean, slavery was states' rights. Discrimination, states' rights. So when the states have unfettered ability to change the laws in the state, we know what happens. So this is exactly what African Americans have been saying was going to happen for a very long time. Is that once they got to Supreme Court and they actually controlled the three levels of government, that they were going to gut the voting rights, and then you're going to see a lot, particularly the southern states, are going to change the laws where it limits who can vote and the amount of time they have to go to the voting booth.
And it started right away. And we've already seen what it looks like. Closed polling place.
Tennessee called their session back as soon as the Supreme Court made the decision to come back and to change the redistricting of the state.
Yeah, exactly. Closed polling places, reduce early voting, stricter ID laws, voter roll purges, fewer drop boxes. These changes doesn't hit everybody equally. They hit Black men the hardest, especially working class brothers who don't have flexibility. I don't have flexible schedules or easy access to transportation. Now, I'm gonna sit with this for a little while because you just said something that was important. As soon as the Supreme Court ruled, states like Tennessee went right back in session to start redistricting. It's like we're stuck on stupid. We've done this before, and it's not going to turn out well for them.
Right.
They might think they got the upper hand right now, but it's not going to turn out well for them. History shows when you got your foot on people's neck and you try to squeeze it, sooner or later, those people are going to rebel. And it's not going to be pretty, y'all. It's just not going to be pretty. And the crazy thing about America, we go to war for other countries that don't have these freedoms to vote and all this other stuff. So we go to war, we spend billions of dollars fighting to get other people their right to vote. And then in America, we're stripping rights to vote for some people.
True.
We're making it harder for our people to vote while fighting for other people to vote. Stuck on stupid. Go ahead, sir.
No, I mean, I think you're 100% right. I mean, again, I go back to what I've been saying for a very long time. Is it's not about Democrats or Republicans. That's just their code name for saying anti-black, because that's what it's about. All the rules and the gutting the voting rights bills, those are anti-black decisions. Is they want to roll back all the progress from to where we were in Jim Crow prior to all the bills being passed in the middle 60s, civil rights bill, voting rights bill. They want to roll all that back. So it's not about Democrats and Republicans. It's anti-black laws being put in place to prevent black people from voting. And I've always said is that if we are so inferior, if we're so stupid or dumb, if we can't accomplish anything by ourselves, then why do you keep attacking the black people in this country? Why do you keep trying to roll back the progress that our fathers and grandfathers have created? If we're so inferior to you,
Exactly.
why do we rent space in your head all the time, every day of the week, every month of the year, if you don't have anything to worry about? And the reality is, and I've said this before too, is the people who are doing this, they know who you are. They know who we are. The liar knows the lie that they're telling. So, in order to keep you from understanding who you are, where you've come from, what you've accomplished in this country and before, then this is what they do. Because if your plans and your what you want to do for your congregation, I'm sorry, congregation, but for your constituents
Yeah.
was legitimate, then you would just go straight to the people and talk about that and win elections. But when you have to cheat, when you have to redistrict, when you have to do things like that to ensure that the majority of people in your district vote for you, that just tells you that there's fear out there and that there's an anti-black piece to their policies as opposed to being, I'm a Republican and I'm a Democrat.
Yeah. When you don't have a plan, you gotta do these kind of things. They don't
Right.
have a plan that's gonna help the average American people. It seems like the plans that most politicians have, be it Democrat or Republicans, in most cases, helps the rich or the small business owner or the business owner. And they keep telling us the same bullshit every time. And that's if they do good, you'll do good. The
Trickle down,
trickle down, yeah,
um,
trickle down.
economics.
That's the same bullshit they tell us all the time, is if they do good, you'll do good. I ain't seen it yet. Still
Yep.
ain't seen it. They doing they ain't even doing good. They're doing damn good up there, and we're
Well,
struggling.
and that's been the MO. That's been the game plan with certain people in this country since this country been in existence. Is let's find an enemy that we can blame all of your social issues on. The reason you don't have a job, the reason that you aren't successful, the reason that you live in a poor town is because of black people. While those people are grifting the entire country, stealing trillions of dollars from us and lining their pockets. All the business corporations, the majority of business corporations in the United States they're growing. Their business, they're making money. Gas prices are up, groceries are up, go to get clothes. All those places, prices are up. But yet people's salaries are not rising. Companies are laying off people all the time. Every single day, you hear about a company that's laid off 10,000 people, 15,000 people, 20,000 people. Well, where are those people going to go? Their plan is they want those people to go and work less paying jobs. So you get more qualified people in less paying jobs. And then again, the corporations in the United States and corporations across the world make more money. And that's what this is about. And and the last thing I'll say is this is that I've been for the last year been saying that the United States is no longer a country. The United States is a corporation.
Yeah,
We're not a country where the people in charge don't care about the people. What they're focused on is the money that they can make and how they can build their corporation. The United States, in my opinion, is no longer a country. We're a corporation. We have a significant military. That's what protects the corporate interests of the United States. It's not about our country. It's about those corporations making money.
Well, that's a good point, man. I never thought about it that way. That's interesting because our representatives are not representing us. They're just not. They're just not. When something polls 80 to 95% that people don't like it and you still vote for it, you're not representing the people. Or when something polls 80 to 95% that American people want to see it and you're not going with it, there's something wrong with that, you know? Terribly wrong.
But the overall plan is to ensure there's not consequences. I mean, like for instance, the first thing that people did 2, 3, 4 years ago is started to attack accountability. And what they did was they started using woke and they
Yeah,
attacked woke because woke meant that you should be held accountable. When
yeah,
you do and say something, there's accountability. So they started attacking that language to try to berate people into not using it. Now we're at a situation where there is no accountability. There are congressmen and senators in states and in districts that it's bulletproof, foolproof. They're not going to lose because they've redistricted the districts to ensure that they have the majority of people. They're choosing the people that vote for them, as opposing the people choosing the
legit.
people that represent them. And in some states, because of governors, like Mississippi and Louisiana and Arkansas, all these poor welfare states, they're creating a environment where only people are going to vote for Republicans. That's what they want. They don't want to win your vote. They want to choose who votes for them.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
moving along.
Let's try to get back on task.
Yeah,
Segment two. Go ahead.
yeah, we'll go to segment 2. Let's talk money because voting is one thing, but the economy is where people feel policy in their pockets.
Yep, Project 2025 included proposal that could reshape federal jobs, social programs, worker protections, healthcare access, tax structures, and business regulation. And all of these hit black men differently than the general public. Now, it says could reshape. It's already reshaping because a lot of this has been implemented. Federal jobs, people lost their job, and now the federal government is going in warp speed trying to rehire people and stuff. So, and people think, well, they got their jobs back, or some of them gonna get their job back. No, you messed up their whole life and their lifestyle for for over a year almost. You just don't get it back just like that, you know? Social programs, they're still trying to change social programs. They just can't because everybody feels social programs. Their constituents feel it, so they can't change it. It's the hardest thing to change. Worker protection. There is no worker protection anymore, pretty much in America, especially down south. Down south got the oxymoron statement that says we're a right to work state, but we'll fire you whenever we want you to,
Yeah,
without cause,
that's what that
without
means.
cause.
Right, that's what that means. I mean, believe me, the attack is multi-pronged. I mean,
Mhm,
attack unions because unions protect employees. So
mhm,
you make unions seem like they're the enemy, then people won't want to be part of. But you
yeah,
know that they don't attack police unions, they don't attack fire unions because
yeah,
most people in those two industries vote the way they want them to vote. So they
exactly.
don't care about that. Even though I think those two unions are probably the two most corrupt unions in the country, but
Mhm,
they don't attack them, but they attack the other unions that are for the work
mhm,
people who are just normal, everyday workers. It's multi-pronged, and people need to see that it is multi-pronged. People that have a lot of money in this country see an opportunity here to gain more power and to gain more resources. And we
mhm,
went through this in our country in about the 30s. And at that point, we actually had congressmen and senators that had a little bit of guts, and they went in and started going after corporations, breaking them up. That's why you had the AT&T breakup with MCI and all them. You had them breaking up these monopolies, and that's where we are now.
mhm.
The majority of our big corporations are owned by one person or one conglomerate to another. Less competition. You know what people say about competition? When you don't have competition, the product service drops.
Or a family.
Right. So, but yeah, like you said, with the federal jobs, I mean, what's the first thing he does when he gets into office is he shuts down, our diplomatic core agency in the United States. And I have to be somebody to work for a significant amount of time for USAID, and I can tell you the good stuff that that country is doing. And all the people who say, "Oh yeah, we should get rid of USAID," they're not doing anything. In 5, 6, maybe 10 years, your sons and your grandsons are going to be fighting a war because this president, this administration got rid of our diplomatic corps. Our
Mhm.
soldiers are going to be on the ground fighting something that should have been settled at a negotiation table. But because we got rid of USAID, we're going to be sending troops into war in about 5 years. So,
Exactly.
moving.
So let me go through
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
healthcare. Healthcare.
Yes.
That's important. Healthcare because that has been pretty much destroyed also. They have done healthcare kind of like they did the Voting Right Act. They picked at it, picked at it, picked at the edges, picked at the edges. So even though we can't say it's gone, it's almost ineffective now
Sure.
because they've been picking on the edges and stuff. And the American people uh have got to wake up, the woke thing again. You got to see what these people, these politicians are doing to you. And I put them all in a little basket. You got good politicians, but right now, the Democratic Party to me is acting stupid because they want to play fair. This ain't regular times. This ain't regular times. You can't play fair now. You gotta fight fire with fire, and I know a lot of people won't like that, but, 2 wrongs don't make a right, but shit, we keep doing what we're doing, we ain't gonna have nothing to fight with or for, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah, yeah, it does. I mean, you know who came up with that saying? Losers. Losers are the ones that came up with that stuff. Yeah, it does. Two wrongs
Yeah,
do make a right.
yeah,
Because when you go to war, you don't have somebody on one side fighting fair and somebody on the other side not fighting. No, you have two
mhm,
people clashing, doing everything they can to ensure they win the war.
yeah,
So
exactly,
losers came up with that saying. We should do exactly what it is that they're doing. Exactly
mm,
what it is that they're doing. Pushing legislation through. If we happen to win the House back, they need to be pushing legislation through, ensuring that we get things done away because that's what they do.
yeah,
That's
exactly,
exactly what they do. We win the presidency, we win the House back. We should be pushing things through. Senators that aren't doing their jobs, like Fetterman, we should push him out.
Lord have
That
mercy,
guy
yeah,
is terrible. He wished they should have never put him in the office in the state of Pennsylvania. But when his time comes up, he should be pushed out.
that's the
We could
good
have
thing
had,
about it, you can correct it,
yeah, I can't remember the guy's name, Connor Lamb or something like that.
yeah,
He could have been the senator from Pennsylvania, but people chose Fetterman, and he's
yeah,
no different than a lot of these former blue dog Democrats.
yeah, he worse,
You know,
really,
right? Just sit around and want to be Republicans.
mhm,
Although he got in office because of people who voted for him who are Democrat. And he
mhm,
gets him down in Washington, and because he's getting fed money and his family's getting rich, he starts voting in opposite direction.
yeah,
For example, Black men are heavily represented in federal government, military service, and public sector jobs. If federal agencies shrink or restructure, these jobs could be affected. Again, the multi pronged desire to defederalize our country, which means you push it back to states where you have anti Black policies in those states and they take the opportunities away. There's a reason why the majority of jobs that Black folks work in are federal, military, and public sector jobs because during the time of Jim Crow and prior to the civil rights acts that were passed, states were denying Black people the opportunities that they were giving everybody else. So the federal government came in and made changes to ensure that the states did it. And for the last 30 years or 40 years, almost 50 years, excuse me, employment amongst Blacks in those federal jobs has increased. We're more educated now. We're in higher level positions because the government needed to be regulated to ensure that states weren't discriminating against people. And what the Supreme Court did was he basically just took us back to the 1960s. Go ahead.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, we see it in we talked a little bit about the social programs and tightening the eligibility and everything. I forget, it might have been Tennessee too, because it tend to be those states that do it all. They just passed a law that you won't get your SNAP benefits if you haven't shown that you've worked in the last 6 months or so,
Uh-huh.
uh, something to that effect. They're saying, we're willing to continue to give you your SNAP benefit, but you got to show that you're actively getting out there to work. And Bill Clinton did something to that effect when he was in office, and I forgot the name of that program that he had. And I believe that all able-bodied people should go out and work. But let's give you this example. If you go out as a single black female, even a married couple, both of them making $35,000 a year and they got 4 kids, what are they gonna do with that? It's gonna cost them more money for if you got one, maybe two of those kids that's in childcare, and you gotta go to work and you put two of those kids in childcare, and it's $350 a month on average, sometimes 400 a month on average. That's $800 going to childcare right there. And we ain't started talking about rent, car note, insurance, all this other stuff, groceries for 6 people and everything. You are working poor. You are the working poor. And I just don't believe that anybody in America today that's willing to go out and work and have a job should be considered a working poor. These people need to be paying these guys a living wage. And I know that that word makes some people go crazy, but that's what it is. It is what it is. You telling them to go out and work, but they can't make enough money to live off.
Well, I mean, I'm perfectly fine with saying people have to work, but my thing is, let's
Exactly.
make sure that it goes across the board, because I can go and we can look at a whole lot of our representatives and a whole lot of our senators that have passed no bills, right?
There you go.
Where's their productivity? Let's start evaluating their job. They shouldn't get paid because it is welfare, because they're being paid by the taxpayers of the United States, but they're not creating anything. Our Congress, when's the last bill that our Congress has passed? I mean, our Congress is
I
supposed to,
can't think of one lately.
exactly, they're supposed to be they have the power of the purse, but yet our president is spending $2 billion a day in a war that wasn't approved by Congress. So, in my opinion, Congress isn't doing their job. Where are the senators? You're supposed to be one of the branches of government that is supposed to be the checks and balances. What are our senators doing other than jumping on television and running their mouth about stuff they're not doing anything about? They're not doing their job. So let's start looking at their job and saying maybe we shouldn't pay you guys when you go on session for 2 months and nothing gets done. Let's start evaluating what it is that they do. Let's not just talk about the American public. Why don't we start putting up on TV all the states that are eliminating state taxes? But then at the end of the year, you come back and you beg the government. So states like where I live
Mhm.
and some of the northern states have to subsidize you. Louisiana, Mississippi.
Georgia's moving that way too. They put
Right. So they
legislation out this year.
Oh, and people say, "Oh, well, California, they tax too much." Well, California has the seventh largest budget. I mean, economy in the world. But yet California has to send money to pay for Mississippi, Louisiana,
Mhm.
Georgia, and a lot of these states that cut taxes, so because they want corporations to come down there, so they give them all the tax breaks, and then at the end of the year they go back to the federal government and say, "Oh, well, we're 2 trillion, I mean $2 billion short on our budget. Can you give us more money?" And the federal government gives it to them. So,
Yeah,
let's keep
okay.
moving.
Yeah, so probably 2025 doesn't just affect, the economy. We're gonna move on to voting. We talked about this a little bit last week in our program last week and everything, why voting, and economy are linked for Black men. Go ahead.
Yeah, let's break this down clearly. Voting and the economy aren't separate issues. They're two sides of the same coin.
When the economy is unstable, turnout drops. When the turnout drops, policies shift. When policies shift, the economy changes again. It's a loop.
Yes, sir. And black men sit at the center of that loop. We're the group that gets its first. by economic downturns, and the group whose political participation gets questioned the most.
That's why 2026 matters, because if voting becomes harder and the economy becomes shakier, the combination can shrink Black political power for a generation.
And that's not fear, that's history.
Yeah.
Seen this movie before.
Yeah.
Every time Black economic power rises, voter restrictions follow. Every time Black political power rises, economic pressure follows.
Yep, in 2026 is where it's at and where both of them are happening right now. We're seeing this in real time, ladies and gentlemen. We're seeing it in real time. We're not just talking about hypotheticals anymore. We're talking about your day-to-day life. Look at gas prices going up, and these people are sitting at their table. There was a split screen today on one show where you got Donald Trump and his cabinet saying these prices are gonna drop pretty fast when we open up the strait and everything. And then you got the CEOs that were on a call. All the oil CEOs were on a call, and they were talking about what's gonna happen. And most of them are gonna say, "Steady as she go." Meaning prices ain't going down no time soon. They were talking about opening up oil reserves, but they said, "No, let's not do that. Because if you open up oil reserves, it goes down." But they don't wanna do that right now. Price of gas skyrockets pretty fast, just on the notion of something happening, it skyrockets. Now, on a notion that something's gonna happen that makes the economy better, should make gas prices better, gas prices still take its own little time coming down. You can look back, what, about 3 or 4 weeks ago when things looked like it was about to clear up. Uh, we got into this ceasefire, and oil prices went under 100 to about $86 a barrel. And what happened is, what happened was, let me rephrase that. When the oil prices went down to $86 a barrel, the price went down, but not at the pumps.
No,
Pumps stayed the same. It might have went down 10 cents. It went up 40% last week alone. I mean, this week, I'm sorry,
absolutely.
alone.
Well, because I mean, again, I mean, like I said, the United States is no longer a country; it's a corporation. So what you get is the president of the United States and his administration, who come out and say stuff that affects the stock market and affects, commodities that the United States use across the country. It goes up and down. So when the president comes out and says, "Oh, well, Iran is willing, Iran wants to go to the negotiating table," well, then all of a sudden the corporations say, "Oh, okay, so we can steady the gas prices." But when he comes out and says, "Oh, if they don't sign then he comes out the next day and says, if they don't sign it, we're going to bomb the heck out of them. Then the prices go up. So the corporations Trump. So I mean, he's a game show host. So that's what he does. He runs our country like it's a game show. Oh well, in 7 days on the next week's episode, this will happen, or in the final episode, this is going to happen. And then the business community doesn't know how to act. I mean, and that's why gas prices are up. And
Yeah.
the reality is that when people have to pay for gas, then other things are going to suffer.
Mhm.
You're not going to be as productive at work.
Yeah.
You're not going to be to go and buy clothes for your kids. You're not going to go to Disney World. You're not going to go to visit sites in the United States that make money. People don't go to parks where a lot of those parks make money. It's going to affect it, but Trump's going to be out of office and probably already passed on to the next life when all of us are starting to feel the effects of his ridiculous policies.
Yeah, you're right. Understand the landscape, not the memes, not the noise, the real policy landscapes. So we're talking about the vote. We talked about these last year, the steps that we can take. Last week we talked about it. You can go ahead and list those if you want to, Sue.
Yeah. So we go segment four.
Yeah,
Yeah. So what do we do with all this? How do we move in a year where voting and the economy are both under pressure?
yeah. And like I said, understand the landscape, not the memes, not the noise that you hear, real policy landscape.
Yeah, and I said this last week, as far as
Hmm.
protecting your vote.
Yeah.
Check your registration early, know your polling place, know your ID you need, bring someone with you, vote early if you can.
Oh, third, protect your money. Build a small emergency cushion. Keep your documents tight. Stay aware of your job changes in your area and share information with your circle.
4, talk to your people, not to tell them who to vote for, but to make sure they understand the stakes and the consequences of that vote.
There you go. Because voting isn't just political, it's economic, it's generational, and it's survival. And
Yes,
we're
sir.
in survival mode right now. We're in survival mode. Of those three things, I would say that we're in survival mode really right now because if we can't stave off these many changes in voting right now, because we definitely got a advantage on getting the House back. House should be easy to get back as long as they're not cheating. The Senate is now in play. The orange man has put the Senate in play. So let's see what happens.
Yeah. I mean, we knew this was gonna happen, man. I
Yeah,
mean, it's just the reality. I mean, I'm old enough, where, you can see somebody who's incompetent. I mean, in this administration, this president,
it's a
they're
lot
incompetent.
of 'em.
They don't understand the world market. They don't understand allies. They don't understand how you keep the world at peace. And this guy's coming in. I mean, he's like a bull in a china shop. And the
Mhm,
reality is that most of the time when a bull comes somewhere and starts knocking everything down, more than likely he gets put down, he gets killed,
mhm,
and that's what's happening to the country. I mean, the country is getting killed because of these guys' policies, and
mhm,
it's in court that is bought and sold by corporate money in the United States. I mean, the Roberts Court will go down as the worst Supreme Court in the history of the United States. And I'm thinking worse than the ones that maintained slavery for such a long time.
yeah.
This court is absolutely ridiculous. I mean, in 20 to 40 years, when people are studying what happened to the United States, they're going to look at our Supreme Court and say the Roberts Court was the worst Supreme Court in the history of the legal profession.
And that was the last I've always said, regardless of what's going on in politics, the courts will follow the law. Courts live off precedents. Most of their cases go off precedents. This Supreme Court has knocked over precedents like it didn't mean anything. Never mind. Never mind what they said that Roe versus Wade was settled law. And when the Supreme Court says settled law, that means we're not going to revise it, revisit it, we're leaving it alone. What they do, they tore it down as soon as they got a chance.
Sure.
This is why you're absolutely correct. It's the worst. The Roberts court is the worst court I've ever seen in my lifetime. And like I said, I don't want to see another one like that. Let's go into the closing now and just talk about what we talked about tonight and everything, and then we'll go into our on another note.
Yeah, I mean, I said last week, and I mean this, is that we lost the battle, guys. And people need to keep their head up. Wars are not won by skirmishes. You win some, you lose some. We lost the battle. We know the Supreme Court is corrupt. We know that they're going to rule, particularly with the conservatives. We know that. They've already said that. We know how they operate. What we have to do is we have to win locally, we have to win regionally, we have to win state. Because now that since all of the state, the federal stuff they're trying to push to the states, we got to win the states and get the right governors in place
Mhm.
who care about people, care about the best policies long term, how this is going to affect my state down the line. And I happen to be, I happen to live in the Commonwealth of Virginia. And the Commonwealth of Virginia said, we're going to do that. And over the last 10 years, and people think that, oh, Virginia just became a blue state. No, it didn't.
No.
When I first came to Virginia was dark red.
Mhm.
But over the last 10 years, people in Virginia have started to say, you know what, we're going to change. And then what we started doing is winning certain areas of Virginia, started winning some of the rural areas in Virginia. They've always won the northern part of Virginia. And now
Mhm.
we control every state office.
Yeah,
and make the changes that you need to make to ensure that all of the Commonwealth of Virginia gets what it deserves. And that's what we need to do in all of these states is start to win
exactly.
your local
The
battles,
blueprint is there.
start to win your regional battles, and then start to win your state battles, and then you can control what happens in your state.
There
And
you
that's what
go.
we did in Virginia, and, I've been here for a very long time, and I've seen the change.
It's a blueprint. It's a blueprint. Georgia is trying,
Yep.
but Georgia is so it is so red, and they're ready to cheat on the drop of a hat around here, you know?
Sure, yeah.
So, yeah, 'cause they can't win and everything. Let me see where we're going with this economy. You control the future. Whoever controls the economy and the vote controls the future. That's why we once again say 2026 is so important in American history and Black history, and for us Black men who want to be the head of the household. It's hard for us to be the head of the household if we can't earn what our worth is and we're not going out and vote. So Black men, I encourage you to get out and vote. Vote your interest, not vote against your interest. Think about these selections that you're making. Too many Americans are voting on feeling how they feel, how politicians make them feel. Look at their vote. Actually look at their vote and see what they're doing, okay?
Well, and let me finish up that by saying, stop listening to entertainers, stop
Mhm.
listening to movie stars. They are not you. They don't live the life you live. Everything that they do is based upon money and influence with their fans. Don't listen to them. They're not us.
Yeah,
None of those
exactly.
guys cares about the fact that the gas is $7 in California. They
Yeah.
don't care because they can afford it. It's not a big deal for those guys. New York City, the millionaires in New York City, they don't care. They'll pay whatever it is that they need to pay because they're rich. But the normal people, people like you and I, people that get up and go to work every single day, Monday through Friday, it affects us. So stop listening to them and actually go out and do your research and vote for your best economic interest.
There you go. Go ahead to on another note, then we get to the
Yeah, I
closeout.
mean, I really quick, I just want to spend a minute or so on because as you said, I mean, people are starting to look at our content, and I wanted to just give a little bit more information about why I have such concern with movie stars, movie producers, and the content that they put out on their shows and their movies. And I brought up Tyler Perry, and I always bring him up because it's frustrating. But I just wanted to just put a little bit more into that is and say the reason that I have concerns with that is because image and what you put out about somebody is extremely important. Extremely important. I gave an example probably 2 years ago about the movie in the early 1900s, Birth of a Nation. And the reason that that movie was so successful in trying to change the image of Black people was because in that time, Black people and white people did not live together. They didn't live close to each other. They lived in separate parts of town. So white folks didn't know how Black people lived, and Black folks didn't really know how white folks lived other than the ones that they might have worked for during that time. But Birth of a Nation put out an image of Black people, of us eating watermelon and acting like buffoons and clowns and walking around and doing stupid stuff that a lot of people in this country thought that's who we were, when Black folks were and still are the hardest working people in this country. But that movie, that image of that movie that was put out changed and set us back 30, 40 years, probably back to slavery time with the way people thought about us. It took all of what we did in Reconstruction away. And that movie changed people's image of us. So I'm very hard on producers, directors, people that create content like Tyler Perry, 50 Cent's another one. I mean, every show and movie that 50 Cent puts out is got something to do with drugs and drug dealers, as if that is a large portion of our community. It's not. Tyler Perry puts out movies about Black men not being good to Black women. That color purple garbage and that Harpo stuff. That comes out. There ain't no misters running around our community. Ain't nobody going around beating up black women. Ain't nobody going around treating black women in large scales wrong. But that's what he puts out. So I'm going to continue to be hard with him. And it goes into my last point is, you know, about the states. We know what Louisiana's doing. We know what their governor's doing. We know what the Mississippi governor's doing. We know what the Arkansas governor's doing. Why are we going down there and building movie sets and bringing money into Louisiana? Sure, you'll give a few black people a job, somebody cleaning up or working on the set. But the state of Louisiana gets millions of dollars when you take your movie studios down to those states where they're writing policy to eliminate Black history, writing policy to eliminate your ability to vote, writing policy to eliminate your ability even to exist. So I'm going to continue to call out those guys. It's not just about you. Sure, you can make a lot of money, 50 Cent. You can make a lot of money, Tyler Perry. You can make a lot of money, a lot of directors and producers. But the average person that shows your reflection, we're the ones that have to deal with the decisions that you make. And I'm not telling anybody to do anything with their money. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying, think about what you're doing and the consequences of that decision 5, 10, 15 years down the line. So I'll get off my
Okay. There you go. Speak your truth. Speak your truth. I'm gonna show a little video on another note and try to show y'all what happens when the economy and the vote meet and people feel like they're being abused or whatever. Here we go. For those of you who don't know, that's a Memphis congressman there. There we have it. We have it right there. So we just got to talking about when the economy clashes with people voting rights being taken away from them, redistricting. And as you can notice there's not a black issue. It's not a black issue. We just happen to be affected mostly, but it's not just a black issue. It's an American issue. And I'll leave it at that, and we can go ahead and kind of close this out. But I love this subject. Had a lot of fun. This is Gents Making Sense. We'll see you the next time. Stand tall, speak the truth, move like your ancestors invested in you. Thank
point.
you.